Alrighty, so here's the plan. I've got a Best Access Systems A2 lock here with 6 pins. I don't have a key for it. I think it's Master and Grandmaster keyed. I got it from a locksmith. My plan is to attempt to pick this to either the operating or the control shear line, and then we'll take it apart and repin it as I see fit. So just gonna jam in any old kind of tension bar that sort of kind of fits in there, or not. What is happening here? Now, anybody who's tried these will know that these are embarrassingly difficult to pick for some of us. This one lacks security pins entirely, I'm sure, but due to the multiple shear lines, and you have to pick everything to the same shear line, which you just can't tell if you're doing, it can make these particularly difficult, or really, at least to many of us, a matter of luck about whether or not we're actually going to get there. There we go. Oh, well, lucky me. I think, like I said, I think this one's been mastered and grandmastered all over town, so gave me probably a lot of master wafers to luck out on. So let's widen that guy out. Oops. The leg of my little tripod is in the way. Oops, I'm trying not to take the lock out of view. There it is. Okay, hopefully that's a good enough view. Don't need this guy. Okay, now if you haven't taken one of these apart before, here's a word of warning. Don't, unless you have the proper tools. And I can't emphasize that enough. I tried to take one apart and put it back together before I realized what it entailed, and it was a terrible mistake. So we'll just reset that guy. Hopefully you have one of these. I think this is called the Lab Annex. Very handy tool for this sort of thing. And it comes with a pin extractor. So we take this book. I don't know if you can see these arrows, they line up. We put those in there. You take this lock and make sure that the pins are down. And what we're going to do is take this and push it through. Oops, and knock all the pins out the top, and it removes this this cap there. You'll be able to tell you're in the right position as you wiggle around, because you should be able to feel some springiness. All right. So I'm just going to take this dead blow here, give it a firm yet gentle tap. And this one will have 6, 4, 5, and 6. And I am out. Great. Now, a neat thing about this Annex, is the book. So let's take a look at this here. See, it knocked all the pins out, and then we have the cylinder rotates and the locking pawl from the control rotates. Right. Now the annex is interesting because it has this little book deal. You can slide that out, and what you can do is open that up and see all of the pinning. So you can see this one had a lot of master wafers, which is probably why it was so easy to pick. So you have the key pins, master wafers, driver pin, springs, which have all now been destroyed, and then the caps, which I believe are not reusable. Another interesting thing about this is that you can use this information to decode what the control key is, or you can't necessarily tell what, say, certain master keys are, but you could make all kinds of different keys that would fit this now. But I have two keys that happen to fit this keyway, which I don't use, which is why I'm willing to show them on video. And using, your standard sort of decoder tool. This one is for SFIC A2 keyways, if it focuses right. And then I went ahead and already decoded what I wanted for the pins to be. So I don't need this anymore, and I don't need this anymore yet. Wait, I do. Now instead of being sort of upside down, we want this guy to be right side up, because now we're going to load the pins in that way. But, word of warning, this has to be lined up correctly. At the very least, I believe the locking pawl has to be out. Use some pick to get that guy to slide out. And I'll take out my decoded little notes here and get out the old A2 pinning kit and get out my other tool here, and we better grab some pinning tweezers. I got out some caps and springs in advance. Okay, so what I want is for change key, and I better get the direction right on these guys. So I believe I've already sorted that out in this case. Let me just make sure I'm in the right order here. Change key starts with 3. Since these aren't so easy to disassemble and just repin, it takes a little effort. I need to make sure I'm going in the right order. So that's a 3. So that's from the center key. So I'm going to start with a 3 here. And if you're unfamiliar, these handy kits usually have a really nice map, much like a box of chocolates, that tells you what all of the pins are and what all the wafers are, etc. That guy. Grab a bottom pin number 3. And remember, the bottom pins are important because they have that taper on them so that the key, oh dear, they're not going to behave. All right, there maybe. So that the key slides easily in and out. So I put number 3 in here. And I'm going to go ahead and stack that one up. The control is a 15, for example. And the driver is a 5. That's another top pin. If I didn't mention it, the pin stack in these is always supposed to add up to 23. So that's important. Let me make sure everything's all wiggled and down there. hopefully if I take this tool again and drive it down there, I can tell whether or not I'm going all the way through, which I should be able to do, to know that everything's lined up correctly. There we go. So now I know, oops, sorry. So now I know everything's lined up correctly, and all the pins are going to fall down to where they need to go. And then we put on our caps, which I am short one cap, that's fine. Oh, here it is. Probably can't see what I'm doing. So, oops, get a little cap there, and we try to squeeze that down where it needs to go. If it'll cooperate. I'm gonna have to get tricky. Okay. So the cap goes down there, and we just sort of beat it into submission. By the way, I have put one of these back together before where I didn't get all the caps beat down well enough, and one did just sort of randomly pop out. So that was exciting. Change key. Oh, that's embarrassing. Does work. If there's any lesson to be learned from this, if you are an amateur like myself, maybe be wary of this kind of lock. In theory, right, what we have here is a lock where we can actuate the cylinder, and there's a locking pole. Take that, put it in something like this. Oops, there it is. And where's that?